Hello, beautiful alchemist. Happy March. It is March 2026, and we have quite a bit to talk about. Now, I will say stay till the end because there are some free events that I am inviting you to this month. So, you want to mark your calendar with these dates and find out how to join me for some free live events, as well as some other ways of supporting you on your path and the work that you're feeling called to at this time. So, speaking of the work that you're being called to at this time, I am very curious of how the first few months of the year have been feeling for you all. What has been coming into your awareness? How are you starting to view yourself, your life? Are you feeling called to any particular area of exploration or curiosity? The reason this is coming up is because this month, looking at what's going on with the energy of the month based on astrology, but also just based on, I would say, intuitive observation, this month is really highlighting what's for you is starting to amplify. So, again, I want you to just consider that for a moment and see if it resonates as true. Whether you have a clear picture and understanding of what it is or what direction you're going, do you get a sense of something amplifying within you that you know has a direct correlation to the next iteration of your life path and journey, or something that is starting to really amplify in you that feels like more of a truer resonance with your path, your purpose? And again, even if you can't fully connect the dots yet, it's just a knowing, a feeling, a change. So, because of, my great pleasure and honor of working with other people who are doing similar work on this path of self connection, doing different practices and techniques to understand ourselves in different ways, really coming into relationship with all of this work, Reiki, Hermeticism, different sacred philosophies and teachings, all of it, what it's pointing to, what it's awakening in us. I've noticed that it does feel like it's getting much louder, and not just within myself. I mean, I am noticing shifts and changes within myself that have just been, you know, inspiring, but I just feel like I've been really in awe within the last month of what I have been experiencing in my practice. But beyond my personal experience, what I hear other people experience in the classes that I hold or in sessions that I hold, their experiences are also echoing the same thing. Now, here's the thing that's interesting. Of course, we're all in different places within our path and in our journey. We're all in our own perfect and individual phases of these cycles of evolution, so to speak. So, for some of us, this is a time that feels like something is erupting. We can feel the change that is initiating some level of healing. For others, there's this eruption of realizing and understanding things that you've held for so long, but in a different way, and perhaps with a different lens of curiosity. And then there are others that are feeling this amplification of this illumination, kind of like what you have been working on and working towards is starting to peak a new level of understanding that you're stepping into. This month is only going to add to this amplification for all of us, no matter where you are. Now, I do want to say, I was thinking about this the other day, yesterday actually, and it's a thought that I've had, you know, several times throughout the years in the focus of my work and what I share and what I teach and all of these things. I tend to share content in line with that because that's what I really feel called to support people with. But yesterday it occurred to me, especially I think because I was going to be sharing this energy of the month, that because I don't talk about directly what's going on in the world, perhaps there's a perception that I'm one of those people that has my head in the sand and I'm just like, oh, everything is light and love, and that is not the case. I personally am someone who likes to be very aware of what is going on within the collective, because we are all a part of that. And so I say that to say I don't think ignoring the world is part of this work. But what I do believe is that while we are witnessing and being a part of the world, we also prioritize the work of illumination within ourselves. So, as we work on this illumination within ourselves, we then understand how to interact with or show up with or contribute back into the world in ways that we feel will be supportive or with more clarity or with more understanding. So that I just wanted to point that out because I know that there is sometimes a perception in this work that people are totally disassociated with the collective. And for some people that may be true, but for me it is not. And I think the gift of this work, one of the gifts of doing this work, is it has helped me to hold a different perspective around humanity and have a different type of appreciation for how challenging this life experience can be for us. It just gives you a different lens of, yes, of course, there's an awareness of things that are very heartbreaking and, you know, can cause you to be frustrated and angry and all of the feelings and things. But there's also this other lens that comes in that reminds you that we all need to feel or witness each other in the truth of our suffering that causes people to act in the ways that we question and don't understand, and how compassion comes into this. And this is at all scales of expression, right? So I'm saying, for example, from the argument that you may have with someone that you love, right? Did you have a disagreement, and how did you interact in that disagreement? And was there compassion held by you in the difference of opinion or the different ways of communicating and expression? How did you contribute to that? So that's like at the one level of the scale, but then that scale increases out into what we see or how we're in relationship to other things that go on beyond our personal day to day, but in again, the collective field, the world, bigger picture. How we are in relationship to all things matters. And if you don't think so, consider this. Have you ever worked for an organization, a company, and within the office itself, there was a certain type of vibe feeling? There was just a certain type of energy within the collective of the office, the organization itself. There's this bigger kind of overriding essence of the organization, but within that there are different departments, and those different departments may have different feels to them based on who's running them, who's managing them. And then underneath management are the workers, and the workers may have a certain kind of camaraderie or connection or not, and that also will contribute to the experience within that environment. So while it may seem like there's this overriding energy to the organization as a whole, each person within it also contributes to that feeling, that expression. It's similar to, this life experience. We all have, I want to say, are impacted by the different organizations within our life and what we're a part of. So whether there is an overarching feeling or experience happening within our country, and then bring that back into what's happening in our state, come into what's happening in our city, come into what's happening within our family, within our peer circles, come into what's happening with how we direct our own minds and how we are in relationship and engaging with it all. It trickles out. It comes to mind that that expression, be the change you want to see. And a lot of times we feel that that's not good enough or big enough. But if you had multiple people determined to function from a space of love and compassion, that would have an actual effect on, the bigger picture of everyone. One more example is coming to mind of this. If you were meeting a group of friends and everyone was upset about something, but you came in and interrupted that with a different perspective, a different energy, a different feeling, gradually the people that you are encountering may start to acclimate to the energy, the essence that you are bringing. And now it's not just you. Now there's three of you that are functioning or expressing from a different level of perception and feeling. And then that keeps cascading until now the whole group is able to match that higher frequency or that higher lens or understanding. This is possible on a bigger scale for all of us. And that's why so many feel very called to not just doing work, not like if you're a practitioner or if you're a doctor, a teacher, a mother. Yes, those things may be part of the calling that you want to contribute back to society and the collective in some way. But it's also this just this illumination of our design that we are communal and that we do just naturally want to care for others and be cared for in kind. I mean, there's this aching to return to our original nature that so many practices and again teachings point to. Reiki does. We talk about our true nature in Reiki. Various religions very clearly talk about returning to this recognition of being one with the divine. All these different systems and teachings are pointing to how we return to this awakened state, this compassionate, loving way of being. But it happens within us one at a time through our choice, our practice, our diligence, our interaction with the world around us. So I think the reason all of this is coming up to say is because that is at the foundation of what is starting to amplify within so many of us. And it'll look different for each of us. We could say in part determined by what our personal soul purpose is and what we came to learn and what we came to contribute and how we came to evolve. And all of that pours back into the collective experience of all. But what is it that is amplifying for you right now? What is it that you have been recognizing is starting to change within you or inspiring you to change your way of showing up in the world? What are you feeling called to contribute to? What are you feeling called to communicate differently? What are you feeling called to live in your own expression differently in any way? This is going to amplify even more this month. So, I guess we should talk about this amplification of what is going on in the month of March. There are a few different things from the lens of astrology that I wanted to talk about. But as many of you know, if you have been following me for some time, I created an oracle deck. Seems like several years ago now. I don't remember how long ago. But it's called the Energetic Alchemist Oracle. And every month I like to look at which card can give us some guidance, some teaching, a point of focus for the month that we are entering. So, the teacher of this month is the breathing goddess. It's number 3 in the major expressions section of the deck. And this card really points to the embodiment of the sacred feminine. So, this month, while there's this amplification of what is for you being much more clear, being much more known, it's because of what is cultivating within the womb of our being, so to speak. It's like that inner sacred flame, that inner knowing, that inner truth, that inner light is starting to reveal itself more. What is held in your inner knowing is starting to become more pronounced, more understood, more felt. And it's coming to say, one of the things with this card, I always think about the breathing goddess is she knows what she is, and she knows that she is a creative being. She knows that she is in relationship with the intelligence of all there is. So there's never anything she's trying to force. Again, she is the sacred feminine. So she's receptive. She is allowing. She is nourishing and nurturing through the sacred temple of her being, realizing that all aspects of creation are born of our consciousness, our feeling, and then the unification with her partner, who is the architect, the sacred masculine. But if you can even see in this card, or if you're just listening in audio, she has 12 stars, kind of as like a belt around her skirt. And those are representative of the constellations, the 12 signs. And she also has a shell up in her hair as an adornment, and that is her relationship to Venus, the goddess Venus. This card in general points a lot to the essence, the energy of Taurus, and Venus is the ruler of Taurus. But in any case, she reminds us to be still and sit with the awareness, the acknowledgement that all is born through you. All is born and cultivated, is seeded and implanted and nourished through your being. So your creation starts within. The illumination starts within. And then that feeds into your outer expression, your outer experience, your outer creation once she merges with that divine masculine and puts action into what has been developing internally. So with this sacred feminine intelligence and this aspect of creation that she is related to, the breathing goddess is reminding us that part of the contribution to our life begins within the soil, begins in the foundation, it begins within. So, how are you cultivating, recognizing, nourishing, nurturing what is starting to amplify within you from the inside out? What is starting to purify in your consciousness, purify in your heart, purifying in your body? How are you sitting with this to understand the frequency of this aspect of your design? We can get more into that at another time. Again, there are some free events you can join me with or join me for this month. So I will get to that. So if you do have this deck, though, I would say, pull out the breathing goddess and meditate on this card. Notice what comes through for you personally. Journal any insights that flow through, how this energy relates to your life right now. You can also read the definition of the card in the workbook that comes along, with the deck. So there is a guidebook that defines all of the cards. All right. So the dates this month that I wanted to point out that I think really support us in this recognition of what is for us. Okay. So it's not I guess I should clarify. What's amplifying for you, what you are recognizing as amplifying for you, it's not without reason. What's amplifying for us right now is to help us become more aware and clear of what is for us. What is for us? So, whether it is you are going through a process of healing, whether you feel like you're in a phase of illumination, whether you feel like you're in a cycle of release, transformation, letting go, moving on, whatever it may be, what if that is directly correlating with what is for you? Now, again, the breathing goddess, she knows she has access to all things. She's chasing nothing. She sits in the awareness of her intelligence that allows her to perceive and know not only what is for her, but what she already has access to, which is all. Now, this question of what is for us comes up so much, right? Haven't you had those moments where you're like, am I on the right path? Am I doing the right thing? Am I making the right decision? What is for me? Have you ever found yourself asking the universe, just show me the answer, show me what to do, show me the direction? It's our way of saying what is for me, so I'm not spinning my wheels. Now, the key here, though, is we tend to overanalyze and try to assume and guess and make sense of what we think should be for us, or we have attachment to what we want things to be for us. But there's something already that is for you right now. And what is starting to amplify is trying to bring into your awareness exactly what that is at this particular stage and phase that you are entering. So, again, I chose certain aspects of astrology that will support us in this month. The first is March 2nd through April 9th. So on March 2nd, the planet Mars, which is the energy of, action, it can be very combustible, this energy, right? So in some ways it's reflective of how we act, how we move, how we take action, but it also points to how we deal with anger, how we deal with our fire, how we deal with how we either assert ourselves or how we may be in aggression, right? It's that fiery charge. Think of it as striking the match of how you are going to get things done. Use your fire, how you are in response to movement, right? So, this though is going to move, Mars is moving into the energy of Pisces. So, that fire is now sitting in this energy of a water sign, and not just any water sign, it's Pisces, which is adaptable. It's a little more, it kind of tempers that flame in a way. So instead of just being like rambunctious kind of fire, it's more of a flowing action. So at the start of the month, you want to have this consideration of how am I moving, and can I make sure I'm not moving too fast? Like almost like I'm not being too spontaneous. I'm not being too forceful in how I am moving as this month starts. So at the beginning of the month, one of the ways we can work with this energy is really have this consideration of not forcing anything. Again, the breathing goddess is a beautiful teacher in this. She's not forcing anything. So instead of forcing, if I'm quiet enough, I can tune into the feeling of how I am being guided. I can tune into the frequency of what it is I'm in relationship to. So this is more of an allowed type of movement. This is, not overthinking things and trying to force things forward. This is not, what do I have to do? But instead, this energy of, what do I feel inspired to do? How am I being called to move forward, to act? This is this energy that says, allow yourself to have a different lens of, imagining. a different way of getting things done. So don't be surprised at the beginning of this month. You do have these whispers, these hints, this inspiration of maybe I need to move a little differently. Perhaps things can be done differently. Perhaps I can respond to things differently instead of being so fiery in how I'm trying to force things forward. Maybe I need to tune in to this other aspect of my being and be a little more careful, more mindful, more aware of the feeling around the action that I'm taking. So this is I think a nice way of giving us that reminder, but also the opportunity to realize that action isn't always forceful. To get things done doesn't always have to be heavy handed or, again, combustible. We can get things done by moving differently and with a different type of consideration and inspiration than perhaps we're used to or how we did before. This energy can also support us in facing what needs to be healed. So, again, instead of trying to ram forward or force ourselves to get over it, whatever it may be, this energy says, like, no, you have the strength to actually really witness what it is that needs attention. You have the strength. This is like that spiritual warrior that says, I am strong enough and compassionate enough to acknowledge what has been a wound for me that is now ready to be reknown, to be held in compassion, to be understood differently for the sake of my forward movement. Okay? So that happens on March 2nd. And again, this energy, Mars will be in Pisces until the 9th of April. Now, the day after this, we have the full moon in Virgo, and it is a total lunar eclipse. Now, the thing about this is, one, for those of you who love numerology, it is the third day of the third month. It's 3-3. So have some fun with that if you like. But the full moon is, a time of completion, completing of a cycle. We went from the moon being new, where it was dark in the sky, barely visible, and then we feed into the moon begins to wax into fullness, into completion, a cycle completing itself. But in that completion, there's this illumination that happens because now the moon is full and so it's visible, typically. But this particular full moon is a lunar eclipse. And so eclipses will tend to reveal what has been hidden. So, in this energy, and with it being in the sign of Virgo, what is illuminating for you in your life that needs to be taken care of? Virgo is this energy that helps us to have more attention to detail. This energy helps us to be more, I want to say, more connected to the process of things, what makes sense, where things may need to be done differently for the sake of efficiency, where we may need to reprioritize, where we may need to make sense of our day to day, or at least look at how we are spending our day to day and how we're in relationship to our health, our body, all of these kinds of things. That's that Virgo influence. But this eclipse will illuminate for us, well, what needs to be taken care of, what have you been avoiding, or perhaps just needs to be done differently with your day to day, with your health. These sorts of things. Get back in order. What needs to be brought back into order in a way that is going to be more productive, in a way that's going to be more useful, in a way that is going to be more practical. I just keep wanting to say, definitely pay attention to yourself in this energy this month. Now, as I'm saying that, it's coming to mind something I didn't mention is we start off this month in the energy of Pisces. We last month were primarily in the energy of Aquarius, which is more air, it's mental, it's like in our heads thinking. It's about, connection, community, friendships, these sorts of things, groups. But it's very much in the head. Whereas now we have transitioned into Pisces, which brings us more into a different aspect of mind, not the analytical thinking, processing in a very, Aquarian is like futuristic in its thinking, but it is very kind of, it actually blends the analytical and the intuitive. But Pisces like tips us deeper into that intuitive aspect of our consciousness. So this energy this month now is like, stop trying to just organize things and make sense of things. This is like, come out of the futuristic planning and thinking, maybe take a step back and now feel into the other aspects that need to be understood from a different lens, going deeper into that intuitive way of perceiving. So I say that to say, especially, talking about this full moon, but the month overall being in Pisces, this is important for us to recognize more of what we perceive beyond our stories and our thoughts. So, what is it that you are recognizing this month that are those intuitive downloads, that are those inspirations that seem to come out of nowhere? Are you paying attention? Are you allowing yourself to soften into these waters, so to speak? It's coming to mind this visual of an Aquarius, like we're in the clouds. We're up in the clouds, up in, and the clouds are from the evaporation of, the oceans of Earth. Yeah. So we can imagine like all of this wisdom of the clouds. We were up there thinking about it, contemplating, wondering what is going to be. And now those clouds have become so full that the rain is going to come now. And that's that Piscean energy. It's the pouring from the vessel, the Aquarian vessel, the water bearer pouring back into the earth, back into the ocean that where Pisces resides. So it just feels like you have a great opportunity to expand your awareness in incredible ways this month. So during this full moon, and when the moon is full, the sun and moon are in opposite signs. So that's why with the sun in Pisces, the moon being in the opposite, which is Virgo, this is a really good time to not just reprioritize and not just, get life and things back in order, not just examining what needs to be taken care of, but more importantly, consider the lens that you're making those decisions from. Come down from all of that thoughtfulness that maybe futuristic ideas or the future planning or what you are feeling inspired by that was starting to reveal itself last month, and now it's pouring back in to the sea of a different way of understanding what you're becoming aware of. I hope this makes sense for you. I feel like I'm getting very Piscean and trying to describe this. My moon is in Pisces, by the way. But anyway, so this month I would say don't just overthink things. I guess that's a simpler way of saying it. Don't hear this. Don't hear me say full moon, total lunar eclipse in Virgo and, illumination of reprioritizing what needs to be taken care of, blah, blah, blah. Don't then go into this hyper over analytical, like making a list of what needs to get done. First, feel and observe. First, sit, get quiet, go into a meditation, or at least just sit and be quiet and just ask yourself what needs to be taken care of. And instead of thinking and trying to find the answer, just notice what starts to come into your awareness without effort and take note of what starts pouring through. Ask yourself, what do I need to reprioritize at this time? And then again, get quiet. Notice what comes into your awareness without you trying to think or figure it out, and take note of it. There's a beautiful opportunity, I think, with this energy again to create a restructuring of things, but in a totally different way than perhaps you would have done it before. So it's this dissolving, right? That Piscean sun that is like just soften and dissolve, step out of the old way, recognize that you are in relationship to the totality of your life. Just feel into that for a moment. And then allow that essence of the moon sitting in Virgo to inform you of, actually, this is something you may not have seen before. This may have been in your blind spot because you were attached to what you thought, or you were attached to old ways of doing things. Let the awareness of Virgo bring insight to you of, this is what would best support you now. New understanding. Now, again, remember these energies are different for all of us. So what actually does illuminate for you in this energy, it may be very different than what you're thinking right now, but but have the awareness. This month, if you can, be the breathing goddess. Just sit, be still, and be an observer for the sake of understanding what is being brought to your attention and your awareness. To really catch and not miss the clues of what is for you being amplified in a multitude of ways, and how these energies are showing you the best ways that you could be in relationship to it all. Okay, so anyway, full moon, lunar eclipse. Then, um, I guess I'll talk about this too. On March 5th, the sun is in a trine to Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is a planet of expansion, but this energy, again, the sun will be in Pisces. So this is very intuitive. And then we have this expansive essence of Jupiter, which will be in Cancer. And so we have both of these like watery signs that these planets are sitting in. But there's this intuition, this flow, this caring, the Cancerian energy. It's like expanding the essence of generosity, of nurturing, and intuition. And again, I want you to just feel into that. Everything I say, especially because it's March and we're in Pisces, so just feel it. Don't overthink, overanalyze. How does this hit you? What does it strike in you? What does it, if it was like a tone dancing through your body, what does that feel like? To come into an experience of intuition, caring, nurturing, being amplified. Amplified within where perhaps you're going to accept more of these energies, or perhaps you will allow yourself to express more of these energies. And perhaps it's both. But think of how nourishing that can be, to feel like an expansion, a generosity within our intuition, our nurturing, our care. Think of how more compassionate we may be within our connections, within our conversations. Again, it's an amplification. I feel like an amplification of love that is needed at this time. But how does that support you? Now, Pisces is modernly ruled by Neptune, which gives it a lot of association with our dreams. And again, Jupiter expands. So this energy is also inviting us to flow into the experience of allowing our dreams to expand and reveal even more to us. With that Piscean and Cancerian energy, we're being invited to feel even more into why these dreams even matter to us. It's a state of being. Again, how do you feel even considering this coming out of the head and into the sensation of how you feel about your dreams, about these insights and inspirations that may flow through? All of that, as it builds in you, as you cultivate it like the breathing goddess, that's what inspires the action of her counterpart, the sacred masculine, the architect. The thing is you are both. You are both the breathing goddess and you are the architect. You are the feminine and the masculine in unification. And the more we allow these energies to really resonate with us, to inform us, to teach us, the more in balance and harmonized our lives become. So this month, we're sitting in this softness, this receptivity, this understanding of the aspect of our design and creation that is the feminine. And next month, we will move into her counterpart with Aries and the architect. But right now, just like give yourself that opportunity of what does this energy feel like, mean to me? Do I have to, is it going to take me out of my comfort zone? Even if so, how can these things support me in where I am right now? So after this, on March 7th, I keep deciding, like, what am I going to say about this? But yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's all tying into recognizing what's for us, and these energies are supporting that. So, March 7th, the sun is conjunct Mercury. Mercury will be in retrograde in Pisces. So, in this energy, especially with, Mercury retrograde in Pisces, and then with that illumination of being so close to the sun, you just want to be really mindful of your emotions in this energy. You want to make sure you're not allowing your emotions to erupt you into action mindlessly. You really want to make sure that I want to say, emotions aren't overtaking the mind where like logic is totally absent. You want to be reflective before communicating in this type of energy. So just keep that in mind. And I would say do that throughout the month, do that throughout life. Be reflective, honor what we are feeling, understand what we are feeling, but be reflective before actually communicating whatever is coming up for us. So then on March 10th, Jupiter, which also is in retrograde, will be over. That's been in retrograde since November, but it's going direct in the sign of Cancer. So this is where we're going to start to move forward with what we've been feeling. So perhaps for a while you have been feeling, remember I said like what's been amplifying for you? This is that kind of energy where whatever you have been sensing or feeling that has been expanding within your consciousness and awareness, now that may start to move forward. Now you may start to notice that your heart, what matters to you, it's all starting to have a forward movement or motion again. For a lot of you, you may have felt kind of like in a fog or a confusion about what was really mattering to you, or you felt like a changing of guards. Things were changing somehow, some way within you. Now that expansion, that heart intelligence, what you care for, what matters, it can again flow forward again. And so that may be, and these energies don't happen overnight. It's like progressively we grow into the forward motion of this flow and what this means. Now, on March 13th, Mars will be conjunct the North Node in Pisces. And this, I just wanted to point out because this really points to like big hits intuitively for people. I mean, just being in this resonance of Pisces anyway, you may notice that throughout the month, but this is like really an invitation to like moving forward with your dreams, but in a new way, in ways that, again, go beyond what you may have known or become familiar with or comfortable with in the past. It just feels to say, like, let this Piscean energy this month dissolve a lot of the old for the resurgence of what is new and what is for you. Allow anything that is no longer serving you, allow these things to dissolve, to soften, loosen your grip so that you can merge with more allowance, more freedom, more acceptance into what you know is amplifying itself as for you now. What does that feel like? Yeah. I would say it's a very meditative month. This is a month you really want to, um, it would support you to be very regular in your practice of meditation, of self reflection, observation, to be still, to allow these intuitive inspirations to come through with more clarity. But you have to be quiet for that. Yeah. You want to allow yourself to be guided by your intuition more this month. But again, you have to be quiet for that. So there's a lot of stillness within this energy, a lot of reflection in this energy, so that we can not only recognize what is for us, but we can start to match the frequency of that. We can start to embody it. We can start to accept it. Because once Aries hits, we're going to be so full of what is for us, so full of this new essence because we've allowed purification and dissolving of the old and dissolving of illusion, that we can allow that Aries intelligence to really activate us in a forward movement in a new way. And that's coming up. But before that, on the 18th of March, we have the new moon in Pisces. And the new moon is when the sun and moon are in the same sign. But the new moon is where we're like planting new seeds, right? Again, we started out at the beginning of the month with the full moon, which was the ending of a cycle. And now at the new moon, this is the beginning of a new cycle. But we're beginning in the wisdom of Pisces. So I want to say this isn't even a planting of a seed. This is more realizing that you are the seed itself. That's what Pisces does. Pisces doesn't see a separation between you and the idea. It's like you are the idea. You are the energy. You are the inspiration. You are the birthing. You are the output. You are the seed. So, what I mean by that, instead of the idea of planting a seed, meditate on the intelligence of what you want to embody, what you want to expand or experience in a frequency, in the feeling of. Allow yourself to feel that, to harmonize that, to become that in frequency, in tonality, in understanding, in your witness, in your knowing. Yeah? Let yourself become expressed as the seed that you would otherwise think you are planting in something, but witnessing yourself as it. So, this is going to also help you to be intuitively led, have a different level of insight and knowing, because it's a very different vantage point from thinking the seed is separate from you versus being the embodiment of the intention that you want to experience. Do you see it as separate from you, or do you realize you are that and one with it? Our intuition guides us in such beautiful ways where we can then tune in and ask for guidance rather than assuming what our next steps will be. That's one of the big things I learned in meditation within the last couple of months. Many of you know I recently taught intuitive mastery, which I only teach once a year. It's normally a 12-week class. This time it was 17 weeks because that's how deep we went in. But that just ended about a week ago, the end of February. But what I found in reimmersing myself in the class and the teaching, it also has an effect on my personal practice. And it became very loud in some of my meditations that sometimes we sit and we have questions and we look for answers. But instead of looking, or again, trying to think, trying to know, trying to force ourselves into certain alignments or attunements, sit and ask. And again, observe what comes into your awareness. So, in this energy, being the seed instead of planting one, allow yourself to truly be willing to release, to dissolve what you've outgrown, and allow yourself to be inspired by this new potential. But when you go into meditation or when you are wanting to connect with inspiration, ask without trying to answer. Show me, and then be still and observe. How do I be the intention? How do I become the frequency of the seed? Ask and then witness instead of allowing the analytical to say, oh, that must mean I have to do X, Y, Z and da da da. Nope. Ask and then observe and witness. Experience the answer. That'll support you in recognizing more of how you are being led and guided intuitively and become inspired by new potential. Now, think about this. I started this out with saying, what is for you is starting to amplify. What is for you is probably much different than what you thought it was supposed to be, or looks different than what you thought it would. So this month, you're given an opportunity to dissolve the attachment to the old in order to accept and experience your new potential. What is for you that is amplifying for you. I like this energy. But I will say it is going to, with new comes change, with new comes release. So after this, after all of this basking in this beautiful Piscean energy, and by the way, happy birthday to all the beautiful Pisces out there, we move into Aries season, as I was mentioning before. So on the 20th, we have the spring equinox. The equinox is when we have pretty much equal day and night. And this is considered for many a new year. This is the time of renewal. It is the time of rebirth. It is the welcoming of the new season where the sun moves into Aries. And Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So some people call this the astrological new year, depending on your traditions, what you practice. There are so many reasons of why this is considered a new year. But think about the energy. We are really the Pisces essence was wrapping up winter and preparing us for being reborn, reknown. Aries is the embodiment now of the new awareness, the new inspiration, the new knowing, and the boldness to take that new action, the boldness to move forward, the courage, the audacity to move forward differently than you had before. So Pisces really prepares us for this energy. And now, and the spring equinox, we have this moving from intuitive water, this dissolving into unification with all there is, into re-identifying, being reknown to ourselves in this fiery active force. And again, we go from the feminine, the breathing goddess, into now the sacred masculine, the architect, who we'll talk about next month. But this energy is an invitation to be, more bold, have more audacity, be aware of the type of leader you are being. Be aware of how you are leading by example, how you are leading yourself. This is where you really want to make sure, because there is a fine line between leadership and dictatorship. Okay. So, how are you being? How do you lead? How do you inspire not just yourself, but those around you? What did you dissolve in Pisces? What did you become aware of that you allowed yourself to attune to step into now taking action and living in the embodiment of this new expression? So we have the equinox, and on the same day, Mercury retrograde will end, which means this is also inviting us to move into a state of more clarity now. The mind comes out of this reflection and, reevaluating and reassessing. And now it's like, okay, it goes perfectly with this energy that we're entering. We want a clear mind, especially if we're going to also have the inspiration of more boldness, more assertiveness, more willingness to take action and move ourselves forward. So we'll have more clarity of mind, and you can even acknowledge what you've learned in the examination of life, of things, while Mercury was in retrograde. Really examine what you had been feeling and how it has led you to where you are now and supports where you're going. So that is it for the energy of the month. But as I mentioned, I have some invitations for you. It is part of what has been amplifying within me. And if you, again, have listened to Reiki Radio for some time, if you've been a client or student of mine ever, it really is uh, an honor for me to feel inspired to share what I learn on my path in hopes that it will support you in any way on your path, or, inspire you with your own ideas and so on. But I have had for a while this inspiration of wanting to share in more ways. And, this has been a while, but I just haven't had the time. I haven't had the time to make the connections and be engaged with community in the ways that I've wanted. Um, and it's okay. It's not a bad thing. I had incredible experiences of why I didn't have the time to do that. But I made it a priority for this year. So now I am resuming the Reiki roundtables as well as Seeker Circle. So many of you will know years ago, I created a community, a Facebook group that was private called the Seeker Circle. And that was my first kind of way of wanting to be able to interact with you all, because on the podcast, you're just listening, but I don't get to engage with you directly, right? So, Seeker Circle was a Facebook group many years ago. And then it evolved into live events where I would invite you to join me, have conversations, answer your questions. And I'm starting that back again. And then the Reiki Roundtable discussions is very similar. It's pretty much the same thing, but it was just inspired by people having questions and wanting to share with me what they heard on the episodes, and just wanting to talk about Reiki and all things in that vein. So, part of the reason I was inspired to reintroduce these where you can come and chat with me live is because I recently have found, well, it found me, I guess, a new Facebook group on very Reiki focused. And what I've noticed in being in that group with it, showing up in my feed, are there are so many questions that all practitioners have, but there are such a variety of answers, which on one hand, I think is incredible. What I love about Reiki is that it is so diverse within the umbrella of, what we may learn or understand, what teaching or lineage you learn from. There is a variety of what you will learn in different Reiki classes. It's just true. Now, the truth is, though, at the core, we're all practicing the same thing. We just may be practicing from different lenses and techniques that differ in some way. So, anyway, there's a lot of confusion for some people, and while others, again, can appreciate the freedom and diversity. So, if you have questions or anything you want to understand, come and join me in the Reiki Roundtables. This will take place, write it down for yourself, the first Monday of every month. So this month, it is happening on March 2nd. March 2nd is our first Reiki Roundtable discussion. It's at 4 p.m. Pacific, which is 7 p.m. Eastern. To access the link to join the Reiki Roundtable, you just have to be a member on the Energetic Alchemist app. So if you haven't downloaded the app yet, go to your Google Play for Androids or Apple App Store. If you have an iPhone, put in the Energetic Alchemist and you'll see the app. Download the app. If you don't want to be a member on the app, there is plenty of free content there. So you still get access to a lot of free content just by downloading the app and, creating an account on the app, and that's free. If you want to be a member on the app, you get access to more content, including access to weekly readings and a whiteboard series that will be starting in March. So, those of you who are members on the app, you will see under Bits of Tea, there is a folder that says Whiteboard Series that will be starting in March as well, where I will be giving like mini classes. Now, those aren't live, but you still have access to them because there's a lot that I want to share to support you on your path. So, download the app if you want to join me for Reiki Roundtables. If you want to join the Seeker Circle, that is free, but you have to download the app to get the links to join. The first Seeker Circle is on the second Sunday, which is March 8th. So just put it in your calendar as a reoccurring event. The first Monday of every month is the Reiki Roundtable, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. The second Sunday of every month is the Seeker Circle, and that takes place at 8 a.m. Pacific, which is 11 a.m. Eastern. Okay, mark your calendars. So we will meet March 2nd and March 8th. Download the app for access. You will see the section in the app that says, it says like Reiki Radio Conversations or something like that. There are the links to join me live, and I cannot wait to hear your questions and just converse with you. Anything you want to talk to me about, as long as it is related to Reiki, spirituality, anything that I practice, I am willing to have these conversations with you and share with you the insights, what I've learned from my teachers. I have studied through Western traditions of Reiki as well as the traditional lineages of Reiki. So, I feel like I have a pretty clear perspective that can support a lot of people with the questions that they have about this work, with inclusion of what I have personally experienced. So come on, let's have these conversations. I can't wait. And again, if you are a member on the app, be sure to keep an eye out for the whiteboard series where I will be giving little classes, and I can't wait to share with you. Now, the last thing in terms of invitations this month, on March 22nd, right after the equinox, just 2 days after, it's a Sunday, there is an event that is being facilitated by Adrian, and it's called Brick by Brick. It is also a live event. Adrian and I will be there. It is on March 22nd, and it's at 7:30 a.m. Pacific, which is 10:30 a.m. Eastern. What this is it is an opportunity for you to have some guided reflection on what you have experienced this year up until this point, as we are going to, at that point, be ending the first quarter of the year. Adrian wants us to gather each quarter so that you can be mindfully engaged in the reflection of how am I designing my year, my life experience brick by brick. This is inspired by the the offering that she and I have been doing together since January, which is called Life Chapters. So if you go to my website, theenergeticalchemist.com, you can register for Life Chapters. I forget how much it is. I want to say maybe it's $44, but that's for the entire year. And essentially, what you get access to is each month, Adrienne and I provide videos where we are discussing the energy of each month to help inspire you to write the chapter of your own life each month. This brings all of us into deeper relationship, consciously engaged with our goals, our actions, how we're living, how we're growing, how we're healing. So each month there are different prompts and different energies that pour into the reflection of how we are being the authors of our life. That's what Life Chapters is. So I bring that up because if you are registered for Life Chapters, you already have free access to Brick by Brick. And if you log into your Life Chapters account, you will see under the March video, there is the link for you to join Brick by Brick on March 22nd. But if you are not in Life Chapters and you just want to come for the singular class to just reflect on your personal first quarter, you can still come, but you would have to register for this event. And it is 2 hours on March 22nd. I'll put the registration link below. But if you want to just join us for the whole year for Life Chapters, I'll put the link for that as well. Then finally, I want to remind you to please be sure to follow and subscribe Reiki Radio on YouTube. You know, I've been doing Reiki Radio since 2013, and primarily everyone listens on the podcast platforms, which I truly appreciate. Of course, I do. And please continue to share. But it would really be helpful if you also subscribe to the channel on YouTube because that supports the channel's visibility and getting this work and content out to others. So I really appreciate if you take time to just go to YouTube, type in Reiki Radio Podcast, and subscribe to the channel. You can like the videos while you're there as well if you like. But the last thing I wanted to share with you is if you go to my website, and if you are watching this on video, you can see what I am about to pull up. If you are not watching this and you're just listening to the audio, you will have to do this in your own time. But if you go to my website, theenergeticalchemist.com, you can scroll down on the homepage and you will come across a calendar of events. On that calendar of events, you can see the dates, the times for everything I mentioned, the classes that you are invited to, what's coming up. You have it's an easy way of knowing what's going on. What is she doing? What is she offering? So anytime you're wondering about classes that I'm offering, anytime you're wondering about events that you can attend with me, one easy way to find it is just go to the homepage of the website, scroll down, and you'll see the calendar, and you can click on the different events. Also, while you're there on the website, at the very top of the homepage, you'll see a black banner that says, here's some free guidance that you'll love. If you click on that, it will give you the option of signing up for my newsletter, which when you register, you get free access to some free gifts to support your path. You get access to Creating with the Moon and Stars, and you also get 22 days of transformation. 22 days of transformation people love. And in fact, there are many people who go through that several times. But you have free access just by signing up for the newsletter. And that way you also know what's going on with classes and upcoming events. But you can find access to the classes, you can register or sign up for sessions with me. All of these things can be done on the website. So be sure to go to The Energetic Alchemist now, sign up for the newsletter, see the calendar of events. And I will see you all very soon. I look forward to sharing with you more on Reiki Radio. I can't wait to see you at the Roundtable. I can't wait to see you in the Secret Circle. And I cannot wait. Adrian and I look forward to seeing you at Brick by Brick. Have a beautiful March. Bye for now.